Alright, so I'm back, and today we're going to take a look at the Ardboyz kits from Games Workshop for their Orruk, Warclans, the Ironjaws faction. I have no idea what order these videos are going to be up in, if at all. But yeah, so I wanted to take a look at these guys. This is actually the second time I'm recording it, because the first time I recorded it, it just didn't work out the way I planned it to. So, alright, so to take a look at their War Scroll, they've got a move of 4, 2 wounds apiece, 5 bravery, 4 up save. They have the Ardboyz Choppas with a 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, no rend, and 1 damage apiece. So, you know, not your tankiest of troops, kind of just your standard generic guys. One model in the unit can be Ardboyz Boss. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of that model's melee weapons. Standard Bearer, 1 in every 5 models can be Glyph Bearer. Add 1 to the bravery characteristics of the unit having Glyph Bearer. If I remember correctly, they used to have a different bonus for the different types of glyph or banner, but now it's just the one. Yeah, I think one was bravery and one was I can't remember. I think subtract 1 from bravery for enemies. I think that's what it was. Musician, 1 in every 5 models can have the drummer. If you can do that, you can add 1 to charge rolls. And then we've got Drawn to the Log. As the unit's champion issues a rally command to this unit, while the unit's wholly within 12 inches of a friendly war chanter, you can return 1 slain model for this unit for every 4 up instead of 6 up, which is pretty good. You got a 50-50 shot of getting Boyz back. An Orc forged shields. Model in this unit has a Orc forged shield has a ward of 6 up. All sorts of. So it's got a save after. Now these guys are. Let's see here. Just looking it up. 85 points for a unit of 5 of them. Ironskull Boyz, which we're going to look at next, are 80 points, so only 1 point less. So we'll take a look at those guys here. So very much the same. 4 move, 2 wounds, 5 bravery, 4 up, 4 up. As you can see, they also have a whole slew of different attacks. So these have 3 attacks, 4 up, 3 up. Whereas the Boss Choppas, 5 attacks, 3 up, 3 up. Rend of 1, damage 1. They have rend across the board for the Ardboyz. Or the Ironskull Boyz. The Big Choppa, 2 attacks, 4 up, 3 up, rend of 1, damage 2. Smashes and Choppas, 3 attacks apiece, 3 up for each, 3 up to wound, rend of 1 each, and 1 damage apiece. Let's see here. They say Gerzog Ironskull is the unit champion, and he has a ward of 5 up, and the other models have a 6 up. So essentially they all count as like they're having shields, like this unit would, but only let's see here. Where is it? Shields. Here we go. Each model in the Orruk Ardboyz unit is armed with Ardboyz Choppas. Up to 2 in every 5 models can also have the shields. So of your unit of 5, you only get 2 that can have the save after, whereas this one, the whole unit does. So, like, one-on-one, you know, which one's a better unit? This one is tactfully better. This one, you get more model. You get 1 more model for an extra 5 points, but you know, this one is just better all around. Let's see, so 80 divided by 4, so that's what, 20 points a model? Yeah. And this would be like, let's see, what, 85 divided by 5, so that's, brain's not working today. Why is that hard? That shouldn't be hard. 85 divided by 5, 17 points a model. So 3 points difference per model. So make it as you will. So let's take a look at the kits. So here's the Ardboyz kits. Now this is, originally I wasn't going to do this because it's such an old kit, but I figure since we're doing it. Anyway, so this was made in 2006. Making it, 16 years old? Yeah. So you get your bodies. This frame here has got the 4 bodies, legs that go onto each one of them. When you're building it, like, these 2 legs will go to this body. These 2 legs will go to this body. These 2 legs go to this body. It's very much, you have to go correspondingly, because they don't fit otherwise. You got 6 heads on this frame. 5 are completely armored. And then 1 has the faceplate missing. So, there's the back of the frame. Yeah. This frame will have your weapons. So you got your right arm, left arm, great weapon, right arm, 1 more body, great weapon, great weapon, great weapon. No, that's just the that's just the left hand. So got some options. They're all pretty much interchangeable. If you have enough of these, just the left and right weapons, you can put them onto these bodies. These ones are designed for the great weapons. So you can put those on there. They look a little weird because they're outstretched, like upwards. So, and then you've got the command frame. There's your boss choppa. Here's another left-hand weapon. You get your drumstick with your drum here. There's your 2 shields. There's your 2 options for the banner. And you got the 3 small arms pieces for the great weapons. Banner pole. A completely helmetless head. And an extra axe. So, you do get a slew of accessories. This is a kit that I always liked the Black Orcs from Fantasy. They were always one of my favorite kits, the pewter ones. And then when they went to plastic, I was like so excited. And when I got it, it was just like, I don't know, it just was underwhelming to me. It feels like pose-wise, they're very limited on where they can go. Even though they have a bunch of options, they just seem limited. And in Fantasy, it's weird coming from the pewter kits to these and thinking like these are limited when the pewter kits were just single pose models. It's just bizarre that I thought that way, but once you build, say, 10 or 15 of these guys, it gets repetitive, and you're just kind of like, oh, they're not really great for horde building. Unlike the brutes, where you have so many different options on how you want to build them, from which chest plate you want to put onto them, to which head you want to put onto them, and what style of weaponry you want. And the other thing about this kit, or about the set, that I'm not a fan of, is while these rules are pretty streamlined and work, this is what the 4th version of rules for the Ardboyz. Because they had one for the Grand Alliance when it first came out. Then there was one for the original Iron Job book. And then there was one for the Orruk Warclan book, the first one that just had the Iron Jaws and Savage Orcs, or Bone Splitters. And then now you have the fourth one with these guys, and I believe they had a couple FAQs in there as well. And it's hard to get accustomed to the rules when they keep changing them. All armies are going to have rules that are going to fluctuate just a tad here and there. They tweak them, but the Ardboyz always seem to have like a full overhaul. Because if I remember correctly, the first one or two sets of them, and I don't think I have their war scrolls anymore. But it had like, okay, so you'd have to build these into different units. If you're using the great weapons, that's a unit on its own, and they could only have those same weapons. And then you had the regular weapons, right and left hand weapons, and that was a unit on its own. And then there was a unit with shields, and that was a unit on its own. And then they merged them, and it's just been, 1 minute, like at the end of the battle round, you could, I think it was like if it's completely destroyed, you can return half of the unit instantly. And now it's, you get a little extra oomph to bring them back when you're doing rallies. So yeah, it's hard for me to sit here and be like, this is a great unit, when I don't know if the next edition, if they're going to still be a great unit or if they're going to be completely obsolete. I also, one of the things I didn't like about it is the weapons themselves, the way they're designed. Like they work good for the Black Orcs, for fantasy, what they're designed for. But for Age of Sigmar, when you put them up next to the Brute's weapons, do I have a Brute frame nearby? I don't. Oh, I got a painted one. It's kind of base coated, but you can see that they're not as fancy. Like, this is a very much straight axe with a glyph on it. This more looks like a piece of plate metal with a couple extra daggers hammered on. And there's a blade. It definitely looks like a blade, but it's not a fancy blade. It's just very it's just big chunks of metal sharpened, which, I mean, I like. And it's just kind of like in contrast with these ones. It seems like they've got the better equipment than the Brutes, which are the lesser orcs. Now, let's take a look at the kit that I do like. And that's the Ironskull boys. So here they are. So this was part of their Underworlds set. I believe it's a discontinued kit. I would highly recommend picking it up if you can, if you still can get it at a good price. But you see, like, they have the glyphs still, but their weapons look much more beat in and designed that way. So it has much more of a feel of somewhere in between the old Black Orcs and the current Ardboyz, or the current Brutes. Also, one thing you'll notice, like, he's got half a mask, the bottom jaw. He does not have anything. And then the other two, no mask, no mask. So again, they're weapons, and it's cool that the captain of the team has a cape, sets him way apart from the other Ardboyz. But yeah, they look great. I really like this. They got a lot of character. It was one of the things I liked the most about these Underworld teams is, while sometimes their war scrolls aren't really worthwhile, the models are. They're just beautiful models, and they're fun to put together. They're fun to paint because they have more character. And a lot of times, what I used to do a lot is I would buy these things, and for every model in the set, I've got four guys. I would essentially have 4 captains that I'd make in charge of Ardboy units. And I would do that with a lot of the factions. Like the Beastmen one. Like you get this great shaman that you can use as a generic shaman. Then you get this Bestigor in there that looks like a great beast lord. And then the 3 or 4 Ungors that are in there each look like great little captains or champions for the Ungor unit. So rather than having just the same generic model 100 times, you have it 100. You have it 99 times with one great looking champion that could be the unit's focus. So I can't recommend the underworld teams enough. The brutes are the same way. You know, either we've looked at them already, or I've already looked at them in camera, but I don't know if that video's coming out yet, or has come out yet. But I love the set. It's a great kit. I highly recommend it. But we'll get these guys together, and I'm going to put these guys together in as many options as I can. I do have quite a few of them. Now let's talk about price point real quick before we get out of here and get to the models assembled. For what they do in your army, the price tag on these guys alone is not worth it whatsoever. I believe it's $60 for 15 of them. It's a waste of money. Absolute 100% waste of money. They're not worth that price tag. Essentially $20 per kit. Or per unit of 5. It's not worth it. Can't recommend it. I would never, ever buy Ardboyz by themselves. However, big caveat to that. So, let me get on the Games Workshop website so I can look at the actual pricing here for you. Come on. It's going slow. It always goes slow when I'm like, oh, I gotta look at something real quick. Alright, so the start collecting Ironjaws is $110. You get 10 of these guys, you get 3 Gorgruntas, and you get a War Chanter. Now the Gorgruntas alone are $80. And I can't remember if I've talked about the price point of these things yet. But the Gorgrunta in a different video, because I've been doing this over the course of the last couple of months, and then it's all going to come out once a week or something. So anyway, so start collecting $110, Gorgruntas $80. So there's $80 of value out of that start collecting. You're down to only justifying $30 from there. And the War Chanter, which is something I also recommend. Gorgruntas I would recommend. War Chanter I would recommend. The War Chanter is $35. So now you're at $105 or $115 value with just the Gorgruntas and the War Chanter. So if you're going to get Gorgruntas and you're going to get a War Chanter, get to start collecting, and then you get 10 free Ardboyz. That's the only way that's the only reason why I have Ardboyz, is because I buy to start collecting, because I wanted, like I said, I wanted Gorgruntas and I wanted the War Chanter. I didn't want the Ardboyz, but I got them anyway because they're there. So if you're looking at buying these guys, look at the start collecting first, because you get a whole slew of other things, useful models out of it too. I wouldn't buy them on their own. There's better units in this army to buy. And I always thought the Gorgruntas were priced a little high for what they are. $80 for 3 of them. But if you buy them and start collecting, especially if you buy them from like a local retailer, and you get their discount on them, I think I picked mine up for like $90-something, so it's even better value. But yeah, if you're in the market for Ardboyz and Gorgruntas and a War Chanter, buy the start collecting. That's the best way to do it. And then as far as the Ironskull boys, if you can get them, I highly recommend picking them up. they're worth it. Alright, so now that I've got the Ardboyz together, we'll take a look at them. I'm doing all of these videos, like, all disjointed. I started by looking at the Ardboyz, War Scroll, and the frames. Then moved on to the Brutes, and then Gorgruntas, and so on and so forth. But then I didn't like the way the Ardboyz video came out initially, so I reshot that. So I'm hoping all of this is getting put together, and you guys are able to understand what the concept is, and bear with me on any mistakes that I might have made. So let's take a look at the Ardboyz now that they're assembled. So, of this kit that I had, I put together 10 guys. Well, I put together 15 guys, but 5 of them were halfway painted. So I did 3 with the great weapons. So you can see how they came out here. So yeah, they look pretty good. And there's a number of options with them. Here I accidentally did 2 of the exact same weapon when they had multiple other ones, but or they have at least 1 more or 2 more. They have a mace and then a great axe. But yeah, so that's how they look there. And then this one, I popped a shield on his hand. Past that, you know. Yeah. No. Nothing too fancy or spectacular to look at here, so we'll just keep him over here. Or we'll set them all off to the side so they don't cut up the frame. And then here's one with the body that for a great weapon. So I gave him just 2 choppas and then a shield on his hip. Yeah, so you can do that. You can't do a lot of these like that because these weapons really need to go for the other ones too. So just gotta keep in mind, you know, when you're putting it together, like, do these kind of things last after you got everything else you want to together. That way you don't end up putting too many of these guys together and realize you don't have enough bits for the rest of them. So, because yeah, while these weapons will fit on these guys' arms, these guys will not fit on the regular bodies. So just keep that in mind. Alright, and then let's see here. Here's a couple of the boys. I gave them shields, because you're allowed to have 2 per 5. So yeah, they're just pretty standard fare here with these Ardboyz. Like I said, it's an older kit. It's nothing too fancy going on here. Yeah. Alright, and then here's the drummer. So I use the helmetless head on him and only him. So he's the only one that doesn't have a helmet. So I did reuse the other helmets a few times, but yeah, he's the only one that did not need that. Did I finish cleaning that up? I did not clean that bit off of his chin, did I? Nope. Always cut away from you. I always do that. I always tell people cut away from you, and I instantly cut towards myself. But yeah, did I forget to do that too? Man, it's all sorts of sloppy. I was trying to hurry through this. I actually have a game with these boys this in a few days, so I was trying to rush to get them together and to do these videos. Alright, so there's your drummer. Yeah. And here is banner bearer number 1. So the way this body worked, it was kind of like the pole was kind of at an angle. So it's kind of like rested on his shoulder, which actually looks kind of cool that way. And the banner is a little off center, which, you know, it's like he's not paying attention to what he's doing, which is pretty orcish, I think. I like it. Yeah, pretty good model here. I mean, you know, as far as it goes, you know, just nothing. I didn't want to do any kind of weird conversions with like the brute bits and stuff like that, because I was going to do them with the brute glyphs and the brute heads and stuff like that, but figured I'd just do just the boys. what you can build from the kit. Here's banner bearer number 2. As you see, he's just got the banner itself rather than just the icon. So this one's just more standard, straight up and down, kind of fair. Pretty good looking kit too. Yeah, like I said, I have my issues with some of it. Like, they just seem dated. They don't seem to quite fit with the brutes. We'll get into Ardboyz that do a little bit more here in a second, but yeah. And of course, a little champion for the unit. So I did the maskless version of the head, and again, he's the only one that gets that head. That way, he just looks a little bit apart. Gave him a shield, mace, and the axe. I don't like to do the extra axes, but yeah, to each their own. Looks good. Like him. Like I said, I used to love I used to love the Ardboyz, or when they were originally in fantasy, the Black Orcs, the pewter kits, and just for whatever reason, when I went to plastic, I was so excited when I got them. I was kind of bummed out because it's like while there's so many options, there's not really much you can do with those options, and so it's just like ultimately I was bummed out with them, but that doesn't mean you guys need to be bummed out with them. They have their place in the army for sure. So yeah, there's that. And then, because we talked about these guys here too, here are the what are they called? Ironskull boys. So here's the first one with 2 maces. He's got an eye patch. Yeah, he's just got so much more character, while still fitting with like your standard Ardboy. Like, it definitely looks like they're cut from a similar cloth, but he's just more of a high-end cloth. And like, if he were standing in a unit, you know, of, you know, 5-10 boys or whatever, like, he would look fine as a unit boss. Like, he definitely stands out. And that's true of all of them, especially the actual boss. So yeah, he's pretty cool. Then you got this one with the 2 choppas. He's got the mask but no helmet. And yeah, and like I said, they've got like the beaten in weapons as opposed to this one. Like, I mean, the weapons look so different. This looks more like the brute style weapons for the current orcs, whereas this looks like that, like, refined. I know in the lore they kind of say that the Hobgrots built their weapons, but I don't know. That's a stretch. But yeah, again, if he was in the front rank of a unit of Ardboyz, you would definitely be like, oh yeah, he's a champion, as opposed to just another boy. He definitely looks different from the rest. And then we got this one with the great weapon. And this is kind of like the pose almost that the original Black Orcs had with the great weapons. They had some that were up like this, and then some that they're holding them on their side, almost like this guy. But for the most part, they were up like that too. So it was kind of. It's kind of cool to see something like that, because it's kind of like, it just brings you back. None of these guys have full helmets, which is another thing that sets them apart from the regular Ardboyz. And again, you know, if this guy was a unit champion, you wouldn't question it. And then you got Ironskull himself. With these push together kits, they're sometimes a little challenging to get them flush, and he just didn't come out very well. But other than that, he's a great looking kit model. You got his two big axes. They've got the glyphs on them, as you can see, but they still look like they're beaten in. And it looks like this was just kind of like tacked onto the side, which is really cool. So it's like I'm totally down with the way they did that. And again, he looks like he's part of the Ardboyz, but looking like just a more modern version of it. With like, he's got the fur and the cape. Definitely stands out from the rest. And it's just like, I really wish they would have given us an Ardboy boss rule set for characters like him. And, if you're still using the old Grimgore or Borgot Face Beater, or the Games Day Black Orc War Boss, or I can't remember the rest of their names, but or Gorbad, but he was on Boar, so that might be a little bit more challenging. But yeah, I just wish they would have given us a role template for these guys, so we can use them as like little heroes. That's one of the things that this army, Ironskull in particular, is missing, is like sub commanders. You got your mega bosses, and your mega boss is a mob crusher, and then you've got the war chanter, which he's more of a support, not really a boss. And then you go look at the Cruel Boys, and they've got like the Killaboss on Gnashtooth, and Killaboss on Slum Drake, or I think it was a Killaboss. I'll have to grab the rules out for him again. I haven't looked at them yet in a while. And then you have Killaboss on foot, so it's like you have all these options for Killabosses, and it's like that's what Ironskull needed, was just a few more bosses. But yeah, it's I can't recommend this kit enough. They just have so much character, so much more character than the regular Ardboyz. And if you're building Ardboyz and you don't want to use these guys for the rules, these guys make great little unit champions. I recommend them a lot. They're an awesome kit. For the most part, fun to put together, and I know that, like I said before, I think they've discontinued this set, so it's a bummer if you don't have them. But I do recommend them if you can find them. And yeah, I guess that's all there is to this. And then next time we'll look at some brutes.